Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Andrew Yang and what his response should be to the subconjunctival hemorrhage that was suffered yesterday by Joe Biden. All right, let's talk about this. All right, so yesterday, Joe Biden was on the CNN Climate Change Town Hall, okay? So he's on there and he's talking to Anderson Cooper, right? And suddenly, Joe Biden suffers a subconjunctival hemorrhage, right? Now, when I saw this, I was like, what's happening there, right? And I was like, I've never seen that happen in real life, but I remember seeing that on a show really recently. And I was like, where did I see this? What's happening to Joe Biden right now? Well, I'm a huge genre fan, and I really like the horror genre, and I really like the specific show called What We Do in the Shadows, right? And that is a comedy show that is written by Jermaine Clement, and it is a show based on a movie which was called What We Do in the Dark. And it is all about vampires. It's a fictional show about vampires in the modern day world, right? And this new show, it just came out, it just launched, is it's a brand new show. I'm watching it on Hulu. It's called What We Do in the Shadows, and it has these three vampires, and one of the vampires is a woman, and she takes a victim and decides to turn a victim, right? So there's a part in the show where Nadia, the vampire, decides to turn a victim. So she takes this victim, turns the victim's, head, of course it's at night because vampires can't go out at the day. And Nadia, goes to this victim, pushes their head to the side and goes in for the victim's neck and begins drinking the blood of this victim, right? Now, from the camera perspective, we can see the back of the victim, right? And then we can just see Nadia's eyes, because her mouth is on the victim's throat, right? And you hear this powerful slurping sound, right? And then Nadia's eyes, her vampire eyes, fill with blood, okay? All you can see is the pupils, right? The color of which are the normal color of her pupils. And then the whites of her eyes turn red as the blood she's draining from this human, right, is going into her body, which is bloodless, but it's showing in her eyes, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, Joe Biden looks like a vampire right now. What the heck, right? I was shocked. I was like, whoa, that's not good. That's not good, right? Oh, wait, it's only one of his eyes. Only one of his eyes is filling with blood. But it's not a good thing when you're presidential candidate, when you have to say, oh, only one of their eyes is filling with blood, right? So that's what a subconjunctival hemorrhage is. It's when your eyes fill with blood. You can get it in one eye, you can get it in two eyes. If you're a vampire, you would, of course, fill your eyes with blood from whatever human corpse, whatever human you were drinking from, right? It's not good. This is the terrible situation, right? This is a huge occurrence. This is really a big deal, right? This is not good, all right? Now, the reality, one of the things that's really sad about what we're about to talk about is absolutely nothing we're about to talk about has anything to do with Joe Biden. The issue is much, 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 much bigger than Joe Biden. All that is happening right now with Joe Biden's subconjunctival hemorrhage is the raising of a question. All right? The raising of a question. What is that question? That question is, here's the question. Is it safe to take the most physically and mentally straining job in the world, arguably, and place that on a person who is 1 decade past the age that we as a society are paying people to stop working? That's the question. That is the question. We're saying, is this safe for the candidate? Is this safe for the nation for us to take the most physically and mentally straining job in the world, arguably, and place that on a person who is 1 decade past the age of retirement? This is the question. And every single time a candidate who is past the age of retirement has any physical problem, we as a nation need to say, are we being fair to this person? Are we requiring a service that is unreasonable, right? Like this person right now can go, we as a society have agreed that we are giving money to these people to rest. We don't do this with anyone else in the society. I guess we do. There are other groups that we do this with, right? But we're saying, hey, based on where you are in your life, we as a society have agreed to pay you to rest, right? Like that's, that's a big deal, right? And then every time that there is a physical malady, right? A physical or a mental malady, we as a nation have to ask ourselves, is this fair to the candidate? Is this fair to us as a nation to require this, to request this, to even allow to require this or to request this of this person, especially when this person has already served this nation through labor for 4 to 5 decades, right? Like that's like it's a really legitimate question, right? And I am not saying it's a legitimate question. Bernie Sanders said this was a legitimate question. He said that at the Fox town hall, right? He said it's completely legitimate to think about age when you think about your candidate, right? So now, yesterday, Joe Biden suffers publicly suffers in front of high-definition cameras and millions of viewers, suffers a subconjunctival hemorrhage. There is blood on his face publicly, right? Like in or like maybe the proximity of his face. This is a bad look. This is a bad situation. A very bad situation, right? And it's incredibly unfair to Joe Biden, right? Now, all right. That's the situation. That's what's happened, okay? Let's talk about what is the ramifications of this to the important people, okay? Who are the important people, right? 3 of them. There's 3 people that this is important to, right? Andrew Yang, it's important because it affects our candidate, right? And I'm going to tell you how it affects our candidate in a minute. And basically, he has to execute perfectly on his response to this. That's what's important. Andrew Yang has to execute perfectly on his response to this situation. Okay, all right. So Andrew Yang, Joe Biden, and Bernie Sanders. Okay, now Joe Biden, obviously, because it's his face, right? And then Bernie Sanders, because Bernie is 1 year older. He's 77, and Joe Biden is 76, right? So even though this is happening to Joe Biden, like this was a dice roll that this didn't happen to Bernie, right? Like, it's just like, come on, like I highly doubt Bernie has done anything that would, like, there doesn't seem any logical reason that this would be more likely to happen for Joe Biden than for Bernie Sanders. This could easily happen to Bernie Sanders, right? Like, actually it could have, well, yeah. So they both are past the age of retirement, and they're both saying, I want you to put the most physically and mentally straining job that exists on the planet, arguably, on my back. Place it on me. Put the burden on me and trust that I won't break, right? And it's not me saying that it's, that we should be questioning the wisdom of this. Like, Bernie Sanders said, yes, this is completely a legitimate concern. Bernie even said, thank God I'm healthy. Like I couldn't believe his answer, right? This is shocking, right? Okay, All right. So, for Bernie and for Biden, this has become a situation where now this happened on September 4th, 2019. Right? We just got to go back 3 years ago to September 11th, 2016, and there was the Hillary stumble, right? Hillary stumbled, and there were stories, literally hundreds, if not well over 1,000 news stories on questioning whether she fainted or not. Hillary said she did not faint, right? But everybody saw the footage, and everybody was like, ooh, okay, Hillary. Like, it was a big, big deal, right? And it was right close to the election, right? It was not good. And here we are with Joe Biden. And basically he's saying, listen, here I am. I'm 76 years old. I'm a decade past the time when society has decided they will actually pay me to rest, right? But I want you to take the most physically straining and mentally straining job that exists on the planet, arguably, and give it to me and place it right on my back, right? And we now are faced with the question of, is this fair to the candidate? Is this fair to us as a nation, right? And we have to look at this because this is the new reality, right? I've talked again and again and again about the ubiquitous camera. The world is different now. High definition cameras everywhere, right? Back in Kennedy's day, the press might have given him a little space, right? Now, nobody gives any of these candidates even a millimeter, right? If there's anything wrong with you, it's going to be talked about, right? So, here we, and now, I am deeply disappointed with this situation, and here's why. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's do it this way. What should Andrew Yang's response to be to this? The correct response from Andrew Yang about Joe Biden's subconjunctival hemorrhage should be absolutely no discussion on it on his own. And then if he is asked by any reporter what he thinks, he should say nothing but good things about Joe Biden. He should praise him higher than he has ever praised him and take absolutely not one single step toward anything that looks like an insult or anything that looks like political maneuvering. Now, why should he do this, right? Well, this is just a human thing. You do not kick people when they're down. And right now, Joe Biden is down. When you are on public television and your eyes are filling with blood, that is a down situation, not an up situation, right? It's clearly down, right? So Andrew Yang, and this is absolutely calamitous for both Joe Biden and for Bernie Sanders, right? Because it raises the question every time an American looks at one of these people, they have to say, is this safe for this candidate? Is this safe for the nation, right? And it's a completely legitimate question based on what Bernie Sanders has said, right? And he should know because he's 77 years old, right? So this is calamitous enough for Joe Biden and for Bernie Sanders. And Andrew Yang should be incredibly careful to take no political advantage, right? Now, I am deeply disappointed by this outcome, and here's why. Andrew Yang has the momentum of a freight train. We are finally breaking through the barrier of the Yang media blackout. CNN just did an article which Paget Kagi actually said she thought looked like an apology from CNN. I think I see where she's going there, right? We are finally getting to the point where people can no longer ignore our candidate, right? This is really, really a big deal, right? And here's the thing, right? At this point, Andrew Yang has shed, right? He has cracked himself out of the egg, and he is just like a raptor, right? He's like kind of got the mucus off of himself, and he is in full raptor mode, right? Like Andrew Yang is becoming right now in front of us a political predator, right? We do not need a subconjunctival hemorrhage to defeat Joe Biden, right? We can defeat him on his political stances and on his political motivations. The only thing Andrew Yang needs to defeat Biden is his political motivation, right? And that motivation is, one, why are you here now, right? In 2016, you had the opportunity to run. You had some personal problems, and you said, oh, these personal problems are going to keep me from running, right? He had personal things that he needed to manage. Joe Biden had every right to move out in 2016. But if you were queued up to take the presidency, if you were coming off of the shine of the Obama era, why on earth would you come 4 years later, right? And we already know the reason why Biden is coming now. He is coming now because the monstrosity, that we all know as like, we know the reason why. He has said, I am here because I cannot see Trump have another 4 years. Biden is not here because he wants to be president. He literally doesn't want to be president. He passed up the opportunity when it was in his hands, right? Incumbency is incredibly powerful, right? He could have waltzed into the presidency in 2016 if he had the wherewithal to actually run. He made a completely understandable decision, and he said, I have some personal things I want to take care of. I want to give myself some rest, right? And he did. He went and he rested for 4 years. But then when he saw who did win, now he comes back and he doesn't want to be president, right? He wants to stop someone else from being president. That is not a good reason to run, right? That's all Andrew Yang needs to defeat him. He could just say, Biden, I know you're not here because you want to be president. You're here to stop Trump. Well, guess what? I'm here to stop Trump, and I actually want the job, right? And so, step off, right? Like, Yang can beat him on his political stances, and his political stances are, oh, I know Obama. Like, that's not a good political stance, right? Like, well, it's okay. Biden is a terrible candidate, right? And his terrible candidacy has nothing to do with subconjunctival hemorrhaging. It has to do with bad motivations and and you know what? Bad motivations and super milquetoast policies. Biden has nothing exciting, nothing innovative, nothing unique, nothing new, nothing fresh, right? We don't, so the reality is Andrew Yang did not need a subconjunctival hemorrhage publicly to beat Biden. He could have beat him with his own pure political raptor powers that are now emerging, right? And it frustrates me, right? Because I believe it or not, I think Biden and Bernie Sanders are about to very much go down in the polls. I cannot possibly see how showing that you are currently suffering physical maladies could possibly help anyone in the polls, right? Or actually could help drive you to victory, right? People are like, I want to care for you, not I want to vote for you, right? Like, this is not good, right? So it's a terrible, terrible situation. I firmly believe that Andrew Yang needs to carefully take no political advantage here, do nothing but encourage, to say wonderful, kind things about Biden, and wait until Biden gets back in the game and defeat him publicly, and defeat him politically, defeat him on his motivations, defeat him on his policies. Andrew Yang is incredibly critical. He does not touch this as a political opportunity. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.